We are hunted. Our social media accounts have been flooded with anonymous comments left by suspicious accounts with few followers, many of which are connected to Xinjiang separatist groups. Are they trolling us on Twitter? Why?
My name and photo have been published on a hunt list on a website proclaiming to be in support of victims from Xinjiang.
A malicious campaign of astroturfing, the deceptive practice of trying to orchestrate opinion in the guise of coordinated, unsolicited comments, suddenly began.
In other words, that's a hate list towards journalists telling different stories from the West. Before we take a close look at this campaign, here is a report, but it is about China or the US.
A latest report from Graphica and SIO offers us an insight into the grand propaganda scheme that the West has conducted to promote its and its allies' interests, while opposing countries such as China and Russia.
We can come to the conclusion that the report published by the US government is actually one of the many efforts to manipulate the global public opinion on Xinjiang.
There were fake profiles with AI-generated pics, sham media authors posing as independent news entities, copy and paste content, and hashtag campaigns. If you saw similar claims in the US State Department latest report on Xinjiang, you might be a little surprised to find out these claims in a report from Graphica and Stanford Internet Observatory were actually about the US.
That's right, these exact tactics have been used for years in pro-Western influence operations across Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and other social media platforms.
There are striking similarities between the Stanford report about the US influence and the US State Department report about Chinese propaganda.
It is the accuser accused the accused of doing what the accuser has been doing on the accused.
In the dataset Graphica and Stanford researchers examined for this report on US influence campaigns, there were large numbers of fake profiles and sham media authors that exclusively focused on China's Xinjiang. Posts from these actors described organ trafficking, forced labor, and sexual crimes against Muslim women, all repeated and the direct talking point from the US government report.
So this is a hidden way of carrying out disinformation campaign. The other way that is mostly used and more often used, more frequently used by US government is the open way, the direct way.
It is just another small example of the active attempts by the US to manipulate and dominate global discourse around Xinjiang. What does the disinformation campaign led by the US look like? Check out the paragraph here. The State Department one used advanced artificial intelligence generated content.
And we find exactly the same claim here. SIO, using profile pictures that were likely created using artificial intelligence techniques.
It is not just in describing the tactics, the narrative focuses in the two reports are basically the same.
SIO promoted narratives supportive of the US. The State Department report also makes claims of inauthentic bot networks, and that's exactly what the SIO find the US has been doing.
SIO, clear signs of automated or highly coordinated posting activities.
We can come to the single most important pattern or conclusion by examining these two reports. And that pattern or conclusion is that the US government is accusing China of doing what the US government has been doing on China.
The US is trying to drum up support from its Western allies in order to encircle China like a pack of wolves. Remember the people who put me on the hate list. A look at Xinjiang victim database will give you a glimpse into the multiple actors, wolves, namely the actors, database operators, think tanks researchers, media professionals in manufacturing lies about Xinjiang.
Zumurad Dawood, we visited her brothers in Xinjiang and they told us nothing Zumurad claimed had been true. Qalbinu Sadiq, most of her testimony came from a colleague, and the West media openly admitted her story is difficult to verify. To Sunai Ziawuden, who told different versions of her stories and had her passport renewed while she claimed was under house arrest. Sailagu Saitbei was a corrupt kindergarten teacher, but was awarded a winner of the U.S. Women of Courage Award. And the list goes on and on.
Having worked with U.S. military-funded think tanks and media outlets, Jim Burney, the founder of the database, is often quoted by ASPI.
In China, we have a saying that a dog will bark at something that is physical, and other dogs will bark at the noise created by the first dog. So the first dog can be used as a metaphor to describe the think tank that published the first report that manipulates global public opinion. This is exactly how the Xinjiang genocide narrative was created. And most important of all, they do it in a commercial way. For example, the US government would support a think tank. They would support this think tank to publish a report. So they publish a report first. And then, after the report was out, some consulting companies would follow. They would try to spread the message of this report. And also other think tanks would follow.
The same group of people behind the database also created a hate list containing the key personal information of Chinese officials, police officers, entrepreneurs, community workers, and journalists. For me, it's not a big deal. As a journalist, I have a big heart. I don't really care about trolls, and I won't give up speaking out the truth while facing life threat. I feel so angry, like many of you who are watching this video, when I see these police officers who have committed their lives to fighting against terrorism and safeguarding our peace in Xinjiang, having their personal information leaked online.
So there is a lot of money involved in creating this disinformation web, right?
Exactly, it's total business.
In order to build such a vast network, how much money would the US spend?
As I know, it's like 300 million per year in 5 consecutive years, according to the Congress.
The wolves behind the database are just a small fraction of the massive propaganda network the West has built. The huge sums the US has spent on the network, including the covert influence campaigns and overt trolling and harassing of critics, are misshaping the global narratives on Xinjiang and beyond.